awesome besties! Valentine's Day is right around the corner, so let's make some miniature crafts. In a YouTube live, we made these yarn hearts, which were supposed to be dollhouse wreaths that we kind of turned into earrings. But we're gonna go ahead and do a close-up demonstration. For this craft, we need a piece of cardboard and yarn. My cardboard measures 4 inches by 4 inches. Let's fold it in half, lightly sketch half of a heart, then another one on the inside. Cut on the lines drawn, so we end up with 3 hearts, a square, an outline, and a solid. Let's take the outline, glue a piece of yarn onto it, then wrap the yarn around the cardboard. And we're gonna keep this as neat as we can, going around and around. And if we have gaps, that's okay, because we can just do a second layer. This is a great craft for just putting on your favorite show and enjoying the moment. I went around once, and now I'm going a second time. Use glue to secure the end and trim off the excess. To make a yarn heart, let's take the solid heart cutout, glue yarn to the center, then wrap it all kinds of ways with the yarn. I apply a little glue here and there to help get around some of those curves. Once all of the edges have been covered, I glue it in the back, and it does add a little bit of bulk to the center, so the heart is becoming 3D. Let's crochet a long chain, and if you don't want to crochet, you can always just braid it instead. Let's take the chain and glue it to the center of the heart. Go out to the side, gluing that down. Then we're going to turn it around and go back. And then we're going to go up the other side. Then turn around and come back. And now we're just going to keep going around the outside edge, gluing along the way until the whole thing is covered. I covered the back as well, then trimmed off the excess and glued it. To make a no-sew heart-shaped pillow. It's kind of soft, it has a little bit of a give. Yeah, it works. Let's take the cardboard cutout, place it onto foam board, paperboard, or poster board. I used a little tape to secure it. Sponge on a little paint to use as a cardboard stencil. Paint a few coffee stirs gold. The paint is dry on our heart, so I'm gonna lightly sketch the letter U, and I want it to kind of look like a typewriter font. So let's put little tails on the ends there. I go over it with a little black paint. Glue the gold painted coffee stirs around the edge to make a frame for some Valentine's Day wall art. I think it would be fun to make like a Valentine's Day gallery wall, but I don't really want to make a whole room because this might not be a space that I use a lot. So let's take some ideas from our Fortnite room and our extended hidden doll room video and cut 2 pieces of foam board that are 13 by 15 inches. I am going to use one for the floor and one for the wall. I also cut a 15 by 2 inch strip, a 15 by 3/4 inch, and a 15 by 1/2 inch. On the foam board that we're using for the floor, I glue down a wood grain paper. I'm gonna cover this with tape, because I do love a shiny floor. Take the 2 smallest strips, and we're gonna glue them on top of each other, then glue it onto the edge. Now my scrapbook paper is 12 by 12 inches, and this was 13 inches that way, so I have 1 inch of space right here. And we're gonna glue it right on the edge of that scrapbook paper. Take a scrap piece of foam board and we're gonna place it right behind it. Then take the 2-inch piece and glue it to the floor. Then remove the scrap and we have a little cavity to hold the wall. I did add one more strip on the back for some extra support because there was some space. And now we can take our wall and just slide it between the little baseboards and it stands up, giving us a wall that we can switch out to create different backdrops. I covered one side with scrapbook paper, then flipped it over and glued strips of foam board to the other side. Then I painted a soft pink. By treating both sides, my foam board didn't bow. I spoke too soon. I was all super confident and I let it sit overnight and it just completely bowed. I should have put something on it to weigh it down. You live and you learn. I think it is completely salvageable. We're just gonna let it sit for a little while. In the meantime, let's make some more art. This is a great way to use scraps of foam board from previous projects. We can cut leftover foam board, glue a strip behind it to make a stamp. It's not a perfect stamp, but I think it gets the job done. Let's just draw a heart with a Sharpie pen. And if you mess up, you can just cover it in paint. Then just move it around, mix in a few quotes. I wrote it in pencil first and then I go over it in Sharpie. Frame them with coffee stirs or skinny sticks, then arrange them on the wall. Place the wall in the floor for a cute little Valentine's Day inspired backdrop. If we want to add a little more gold to that wall, we can use some floral wire. I bought this at the Dollar Tree a long time ago. It's an aluminum wire, so it's pretty easy to bend. And I'm just going to make a little heart kind of close to the center. Once you get the shape that you want, we're going to take the tail ends and bend them the opposite direction. Bend the ends back. Trim it, push and glue it into the wall so it has a little bit of distance from the wall. All right, so that's our wall. Let's make some seating. I'm using some recycled cardboard from a Barbie Extra box and sketch out some lips. Cut it out. Then I traced it to cut another piece for the top. I traced the bottom, then rounded the edges, and we'll be putting that on like this. Cut a long strip that we can bend to go around the edge. Glue the strip onto the bottom. I was a little short on the end, so I just glued another piece to fill in the gap. Let's see how everything matches up. Okay, I might need to trim a little bit off of this back piece. We'll see. Maybe not. Let's glue a couple of supports underneath. While that's drying, I'm gonna cover the largest piece with felt, pulling it over the edges. I'm using hot glue and just taking my time, trying to be as neat as possible. Take the piece that matches the top and cut some felt or fleece in the same shape. I'm gonna glue it in place. Add more layers if you want it to be more plush, then cover it with felt. Ideally, I really wanted to use like velvet, but you know, kind of out of velvet at the moment. And I am a firm believer in working with what you got. I made little cuts at the top to release some of that tension so we can get around those curves, making it nice and smooth on the other side. Now this is gonna go right here. Yeah, but don't glue it down just yet. Let's take the seat and cover it with fleece as well. Since we're using fleece, it does have a little bit of a stretch, which may or may not help you to cover it. I ended up pleating it on the top, and I have a little bit of a dip here, so I'm gonna put a few more layers in there. See if that helps. Now let's cover this with the felt, and I think I'm going to sew this just at the corners so it's a little neater. Doing a straight stitch or a back stitch going all the way down. It wasn't quite as neat as I wanted, so I went back with my sewing machine to get a really clean line. Trim off the excess, flip it inside out, then place it onto the seat and stretch it over the edges. All right, now we're going to glue it all together. So we're going to glue the seat on here and then the back right here. To make a lip couch, adding a little more fun to this space, we can add our little heart pillow. Let's take some recycled paperboard, sketch a heart, cut it out, use it as a pattern to cut several, stack and glue them together, cut wooden dowels, sand any rough edges. I make a few holes, glue in the wooden dowels, paint it. I'm going with pink, sticking with our theme, to make a coffee table. Let's recycle some clear plastic. I cut a strip that's about 1 inch wide. Then we're just gonna curl it to make a cylinder. Use tape to hold it in place, then trim off the excess. Glue it onto clear plastic, trim off the excess to make a clear vase. I use a flower hole punch on white and pink paper. Curl the petals. I'm using my needle nose pliers. Then stack and glue them together. I'm doing 4 pink flowers, then 4 white flowers. I make a hole in the center, cut a piece of floral wire, curl one end, push it through the hole. I add a touch of glue to keep it in place. Let's glue a little bit of green onto the back. My vase was too large, so I made another one. This one is 3/4 inches tall, and we're gonna just fill it with the flowers. I glued them in place. I put tape on a piece of paper, and then let's color it with a pink washable marker. Touch the ink with a wet paintbrush, then lightly brush the flowers. To make flowers for the table, I take one of the planters from our 7 toilet paper rolls crafts video and paint the bottom pink. Let's add our paper palms and give this scene a little touch of green, completing our little Valentine's Day inspired backdrop. It's just a little something to get those photos, and when we're done, just remove the back wall and lay it down for easy storage. Thank you for joining us while we made some Valentine's Day inspired room decor. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell and follow us on Instagram at MyFroggyStuff and The Frog Vlog. And we will see you next time.